Bam. All right, everybody. We have some special guests with us today. Today, we have with us Mr. Paul McDonald and Jason Hyde, both with SVN. And you guys are both based out of Huntsville, right?
Yeah.
Are you guys both in the same office?
He is actually about 15 feet away from me right now.
Oh, how about that? Same office. So what they're going to do today is take the floor and give us a lot of details about what they're seeing in the market today, how to actually be taken seriously as a newer beginner into the business. When you go and you start communicating with brokers, why should they be interested in sending you deals in the first place? How do you portray yourself as one that can actually get the deal closed? And a whole wide variety of other things. So I'm not going to spill all the beans. I'm just going to give you guys the floor to jump in. I think probably the best way to do this is for you guys to maybe spend 40, 45 minutes just going over some information, doing a little bit of a presentation style. It's kind of what we usually do. And then use the remainder of the time to open the floor for questions. I'm sure there'll be thousands of questions. So take it away.
All right. If I'm just going to talk a little bit about myself briefly. My name is Jason Hyde. I work with SVN Multifamily out of Huntsville. We cover pretty much all the states with southern accents bordering Alabama, with the exception of some Florida here and there. But we positioned ourselves as multifamily experts. We've sold everything from 2 units up to 1,000 units in a single deal. Beyond that, I've had the pleasure of working with Josh a few times and be a small part of his story. And that's why we're here is, I've gotten to kind of see a large part of his journey and Josh's growth. And now he's turned into an absolute monster who's running classes. So it's just an absolute pleasure to kind of come full circle and get to be part of this. Now, I don't mind jumping in and talking a little bit about, things we can do to kind of appeal to sellers, give them more confidence, win more deals. That said, Paul, do you want to talk about yourself for a few minutes?
Paul, we can't hear you. You're muted. It's the button on the bottom left. It'll say.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, excellent. Yeah. So just like Jason was saying, we're work out of the same office, SVN. Huntsville Sunbelt is kind of our region that we're in. I've been doing this for about 6 years. And, we've built portfolios for some investors. I've started with them with 6 units and now they've got 600. On a pretty good share of the market here in Huntsville, and multiple success stories that we've seen. And I appreciate the story that Josh has, the testimonial that he has working with Jason. And we're excited about this opportunity to share with you guys, some of the things that would make you attractive to buyers and investors, and some of the things that help us as brokers and will help you in return with your deals and your business models and building them. So I'm excited about it. Jason's kind of got the bones, and I'm going to add color to the things that he's going to be covering. So we'll get started on it.
Okay, Josh, you want me to just dig in?
Yeah, you can jump in.
Okay. I guess if we're going to start from the very beginning, one of the things as far as when you're sending in offers, something I see commonly from newer groups is they will send me offers with option A, B, C, several different structures. And one of the things I always say to that is all information you want to share with your broker. You want him to know kind of what options he has to pivot. But you always want to make your offers as clear and concise as possible and firm. Because, me personally, there's always exceptions. There's always people that just give you that feeling that these guys just know what they're doing. Maybe they're a little green, but they're going to get this thing done. There's always that. But usually when I see an offer like that, it goes straight to the bottom of the pile, only because seller confidence is everything. And when I give an offer like that to a seller, typically they're going to draw back from some of their memories of deals they've had that did not close in the past. And that's a common occurrence in a lot of new buyers. So I would definitely say when you're making your offers, make them clear and concise. And if you want to have options A, B, and C, let your broker know that, and they'll be ready to go and kind of present those items as soon as that comes up and it becomes relevant. I'll stop there just because I feel like that was the point I wanted to make on the actual LOIs.
Absolutely. And just to go along with what you're saying, Jason, I think the offer is, and what we find out is connected with your entire business plan and your model and how you're doing things. If you have a plan, so basically, writing offers on properties is vitally important for us. We want to continue to send people information on properties and numbers and deal stories and all that. And so, but feedback is so vitally important, even if you're not buying the deal, even if you're going to take a pass on it. It builds the reciprocal relationship between the buyer and the broker. When we get your feedback, I mean, that's one of the good points about it. The relationship continues. We see that you're getting the information and you're not just file 13 in it. You're underwriting the property and you're coming up with an offer on it, even if it's lower than the sale price or whatever. Another point is it gives the seller feedback, real-time feedback on the market. So, if the market is going to adjust, then, offers are a big part of that, because we do our part. We underwrite the property and we share with the seller what our thoughts are. But a lot of times, most of the time, pricing is going to be colored heavily by the seller's opinion of the property. Because as you probably know, this is pretty competitive and there's other brokers out there, and sometimes they like to blow smoke about, values and stuff like that, and talk about, what they can get when they can't do it. So, and then the sellers also think that we have, an axe to grind. If they're negotiating with us about the price, a lot of times they think that, we're trying to undercut them or not work as hard to be able to get the deal closed, because they know that we work on commission, obviously. But the truth is, what we want to do is provide an honest valuation of the property, of what we see that would trade. But your feedback on that is it's a third party valuation of the property, so they're going to see it differently than what we say and what we think it's worth. So those are all kind of some of the important things about submitting an offer.
I'm so glad you said that. That is absolutely something I bring up with people. And it's one of the reasons that I have such a good relationship with Josh. I love showing him things because typically within a day, I've gotten extremely solid feedback. And I tell everybody that's my price. I'm more than happy to share off market deals with you and give you opportunities. Just, I have to learn something from it. Or else it was really a pointless transaction. Paul, I appreciate you bringing that up, because that is extremely important to me, is just getting some kind of feedback if I'm sending people off market deals.
Absolutely. Once we compile the offers and put them together, it really gives the seller a picture of what the market is actually saying about the property. And that's very beneficial to us. And the legitimacy of the offer, though, is vitally important too. I mean, if you're going to be our player on the deal, you're going to be the horse that we're going to ride, to the proverbial finish line, then how legitimate is the offer that you're sending over? I've kind of been a victim a little bit recently of people who have inflated their offers a bit to get the property under contract, and without my knowledge, then with the plan of renegotiating before the end of due diligence. Now, let me be clear. I mean, there's times when renegotiations are needed. You find things that you weren't expecting. That's completely understood. But to put a property to overbid somebody that's a legitimate offer so that you can tie it up, so that you can ultimately, whittle the price down, 20% or try to, right before, and let me put it like this, also right before the end of the due diligence period. That's not a good way to do it. I mean, listen, we're brokers. We want to close the deal. We have a vested interest in closing it. And if we're privy to all the information up front that you can make us privy of, and as quickly as you can get the information about what you're going to do and communicate it to us, the quicker we can get on into the process of thinking through and providing scenarios by which we can make the deal work for both parties. If you come in late in the ball game with a retrade, you're not going to be favored with us because it's not going to be successful. Most of the time, if you come late, the seller feels like he's trapped. There's just a little bit of time left, and you lose the goodwill because you had the information from the beginning. I mean, you've had this thing under contract for 30, 45 days, whatever. You could have provided that information. You didn't. And now you're trying to pull a slick one and come in at the end and think you can pressure the seller. And hey, sometimes it works, but it would be better to put a knife in a deal than to put a knife in your relationships with sellers and with brokers. So I think I kind of lost that with a group just recently. And just wanted you guys to know that, look, just be straight up with us about whatever you're going to do. We'll try to make it happen. You'll have a higher chance of success if you're honest and you're upfront, straightforward with things from the beginning. And we'll work on whatever the goals are to try to make it happen and bring it together.
Absolutely, extremely important point. If I know what pieces I'm working with, we can usually pull a rabbit out of a hat if we know exactly what we are dealing with. That's one of the things I deal with pretty often with a lot of buyers is this may be some mountain in their head, but it's a molehill to us because we've dealt with it over and over and over. We've navigated a lot of these situations. That's the biggest thing is communicate with me. Let me know what's going on. I can usually do something with these pieces if I know exactly what I'm dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, maybe we've got to put the cart before the horse, so to speak. I mean, to me and Josh and Jason, y'all may want to add to this, it starts with kind of what are you looking for? What is your model? What are you trying to accomplish? Buyers that come to us and say, we ask them kind of what is their business plan? What are they looking for in multifamily? What are some of the parameters and guidelines? And they say, well, anything in the Southeast. That's a pretty broad target right there. There's a lot of stuff out there like that. So, I mean, it kind of starts with knowing what you're trying to do. I mean, are you trying to reposition a property from a C to a B? Do you want something that's more turnkey? Are you looking for a C? Are you looking for a B? What exactly is kind of your matrix for the property that you're looking to purchase? And then what is the business plan that you're putting together for this property? And what's the thing? Is it a turnkey? Are you trying to add value to the property? And then, what is it going to take to do that? And what are the comps? And and what do the properties look like on the goal comps that you've got of rents that you think you can achieve? And what are the conditions? And what are the conditions of the current property that you're in right now? I know this sounds like really basic stuff, but the units, and how much is it going to take to accomplish that goal and achieve that goal? What are you going to have in the units at the end? And does it ultimately work at the end? And how good can you be at projecting those things and confident. And I think that's kind of the things that we see lacking in some buyers. And it's the reason why we kind of gravitate towards people we've worked with before. Y'all can certainly appreciate this. You know them, you know what they're going to do, what they're going to respond to, how they're going to respond, you know their game. So if you can do the pre-work, if you haven't already, you know, to kind of figure out and get with somebody that like Josh, that's going to mentor you and listen to what they have to say about you know, your business plan and your model, and know that and do some research. We're here to help in that regard. We can expenses and things, you know, we can kind of give you an idea, a good idea of the what the costs are going to be and things of that nature, what the costs of the renovations are going to be. We can do a lot of that as long as we know what you want, and we're eye to eye on your business plan and your model. I mean, that's an important part. And then, you know, your team, you know, as you get a broker like Jason, that's awesome, like he is, and you know, listen to what he has to say. You know, it's an important. Listen, brokers bring a lot of value. Our brokerage does anyway. I mean, we're great negotiators. We're so familiar with closing deals. I mean, the year before last, I closed 44 deals myself. Last year, I closed 31 deals. I mean, we closed a bunch of deals, 387 million in the last 18 months, 2 years, roughly, somewhere in that range. So, I mean, that's what we do. So, yeah, you can be straight up and honest with us. We're going to ask you some questions, you know, about your equity and about your lending and how you're going to get that. I mean, what do you have equity now? Are you going to you're going to have skin in the game, in the deal? Things like that are important, and just honesty. Just as long as we know exactly what's going on, you're going to raise the equity. What's your relationship with your investors? What's your relationship with the lender? You know, things like that are important. The property manager is probably next to the lender. It's one of the most vital parts of multifamily. You know, if you guys are starting out and you're trying to you know, get bigger and expand your portfolio, and everything rises. John Maxwell says everything rises and falls on leadership. So the property manager that you interview and ultimately that you choose to go with may be the most important choice that you make in that deal. And I'm almost convinced it's that, and also how you manage the manager. You know, first of all, find out what kind of person and property manager this person is. We make as many recommendations as we can, but I'm gonna tell you what, it's tough to find. Jason's recommended people, I've recommended people that just have not worked out for properties. I mean, just
Who worked out great in other markets.
Yeah, and they worked out great in other markets, and it just did not work in that relationship. So I mean, and it could be, and it might be, not the person, it could be the owner that might be the issue, and how they're actually managed. And I think that might be a part of some of the problems that I've noticed. And y'all, this is what I do. I cut my teeth on helping people get started in multifamily, build their portfolio, mom and pops, and getting bigger and bigger. And that's what I've done my whole career in real estate is help people like you guys to get things going. And that's what I've noticed, that like some owners think that they can buy a property, pitch the keys to the third party property management, and they're just going to turn it into a money making machine for them. And that's just simply not the way it works. Is that right? Am I right?
No, I agree. I tell people all the time, you almost need to have your management picked out before you pick out your property, because you can manage the greatest property right into the ground or right out of the ground.
Yeah.
And well, Paul and I were talking about something earlier, and it was something, Paul, I hate to steal your idea here because I loved it, but he was just talking about simple things like incentivizing your management with bonuses, things like that. You know, speak their language.
Yeah, that's one of the most successful groups that we've represented. I mean, that's what they do. I mean, they take they've made this management company become bigger than they were before just by the way that they've managed them themselves. They incentivize them. If you hit certain numbers, I don't know exactly how they do it, but if you hit whatever numbers they've agreed to in rent and collections, he rewards them with bonus. He rewards them with more, a larger commission or whatever for renting the units, and it's all incentivized. So they have a reason to make, if you're using a third party property management company, you're in competition with the other owners to some degree, because I mean, and the squeakiest wheel gets the grease, right? So this is my opinion with property management, especially if you're going to a situation where it's a C-class property that you're trying to reposition, rents are low and you're trying to get them up. You almost need a personal presence, someone from your team on that property initially, weekly or however often you can do it, to ensure that the job that you are asking them to do gets done. I've seen a lot of people from out of state buy into our area and other areas, and it's like they're throwing their money into a dumpster, because I'm being real with y'all. I mean, this stuff happens, dude. I go to these properties and I'm ready to sell them. The seller's been pumping money into the property, into the units, and you're like, what did y'all do with that money? I mean, you're spending, $5,000 a door on a 500 square foot, 1 bedroom, 1 bath unit, and it looks like it's never even been renovated. It's like, what is going on here? So, and the owner has never been to the property, never came and looked at it, just tossed them the keys and make this a money making machine, and it's a dumpster fire right now. Yeah. So that kind of things happens all the time. So just warning you guys, interview that guy and put your foot, it's easier. I was going to say a bad word, but you don't want to be mean. The positive incentivizing is crucial. And also just your relationship with them. I've had to make owners, my property is failing. So, well, you need to talk to your property manager every day, weekly, at least, as much as you possibly, and develop a relationship with them, and then explain to them what you want and ensure that they're doing it. People don't do what you expect. They do what you check. And the reason you want to tighten up at the beginning of the relationship is it's you can always lighten up, but it's hard to tighten up. If you've been a light, owner, and you hadn't been on the property much, and then all of a sudden you decide you want to show up and you're going to tighten everything up when they've been running it a different way forever, that's going to be a challenge for you. It's going to be hard to get that mission accomplished. But if you start off, I'm going to be, the presence is going to be here. And then when they build your trust, you kind of slowly let loose of the property. That's the way I've seen it work. Short of you owning your own team, which that's a ways away for most people, and having your own people that manage your property. The way you got to do it is get that third party property manager and treat them like they're over your most valuable asset, which they are. It's your nest egg. It's whatever it is. So I would not give it to anybody and just say, hey, take care of this thing, because that is a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely. And I also like the idea of incentivizing them, just simply because I'm sure a lot of you guys have worked with a few management companies. They might have 40 properties in that market, and yours are 3 of them. If your properties are the only ones where they're incentivized to perform, that's going to make a difference, and that's going to put your properties right at the top of their stack. Beyond that, I mean, I'm sure everybody here has dealt with when this doesn't work out, but when it does work out, there's a lot of incentives to having a solid management company. They might have deals with vendors, and they're able to get appliances a lot cheaper than somebody else. They may have relationships with local leadership where they can help you with that as well. It's or they might just be really good at helping you negotiate your insurance. I've seen that happen recently as well. But yeah, if you get the right guy, or sorry, the right team dialed
Yeah.
in, that can be key to success. Or if you're able to do this yourself, nobody's going to care more about your properties than you, but you're going to need a lot of you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe to change it just a little bit, change the subject just
Yep.
slightly. I know a lot of people on your mind might be the market right now, the general condition of it, rising interest rates. How do you get deals done like that, like it is right now? And what should your plan, look like? How do you get deals done with the current interest rates and the market? That's a great question. That is a great question. I think, you got to look, and we're looking. You got to go through a lot more deals right now to find one that works. I mean, it's just harder work. Wouldn't you agree, Jason? And some of y'all looking
Yeah,
at
we're
this.
underwriting 10,000 units right now. We're trying to find things that make sense.
Yeah, that is the challenge. And of course, we're the normal places to look when you're talking about the debt market right now, currently where it is with interest rate, is obviously seller financing. You want to find out if that is available for someone, and that's just finding the right person that's got the wrong loan, maybe. You know what I mean? It's you pretty quickly, and their interest rate is about to go up on them, and it's going to cause them some pain because they're going to have to refinance or sell. And of course, if they sell, of course, the pricing and the market has gone down with interest rates going up. So with that scenario, there's possibility, I think, for some seller financing out there more. It's something that we're asking all of the owners that we talk to, if that's something that they would consider, because I think expectations are still in the markets we're looking at are still really high, like we're like it was 7-8 months ago. There's still that expectation that's real high as far as the owners go, and then the interest rates are there that make deals not work. So that's one of the things. And I think as people, what we've done and my prospecting has been along the lines of looking for those kind of deals where the loans are coming due, and the mom and pop deals that some of y'all would be in the game for, where they're needing cash immediately. A lot the corporations, they have reserves, the larger deals and stuff like that, and sometimes they can hold those through some difficult times. But the mom and pop and smaller deals, they're the ones that are they're going to be more susceptible to need of cash and things of that nature. So those are the kind of things that we're looking for and trying to find, as scarce as they are. But the last 2 or 3 deals that I've closed has had some kind of form of seller financing involved in it. Maybe not the whole deal. A couple of them have been the whole deal. And then there's another one that I'm doing now where they've got agency debt on it, and they're able to make it work because the rents are high, and I think they're getting a sub-6 quote on agency debt right now on a 30-year amortization, 25% down, something like that. So that's kind of what I'm seeing right now, and I know it's common sense again, but we are asking everybody and about that, because it helps. And of course, cash, if you can do cash, because your cash on cash returns, that's not going to help. Many of you may be syndicators and things of that nature, so that may not be an option. But if that's certainly cash is king right now, and hopefully, the lenders I'm talking to, people I'm talking to, I think most people have somewhat of a positive outlook that things are going to pretty soon level off, and the game will maybe not be as hot as it was for a while, but it's going to pick back up considerably, we believe, hopefully.
Well, dang it, Paul, I need some more of those owner finance deals you got.
Yeah,
we're going to see a lot more of those.
Well, I think so. We're looking for them. We're good at finding them. So when they're presented, we'll send them your way, Josh.
I appreciate it. We're definitely buying, especially in Alabama, Mississippi, maybe Florida, but probably not really.
Yeah. What do you think about Florida? I mean, you said not really. I've been looking at a bunch of deals in Florida. Is the reason I'm asking.
It's just insurance. We're having
insurance.
we're having high difficulties finding good insurance coverage at a reasonable rate. So pretty much anything in Florida is considered extremely coastal. You like can't get far enough away from the coast going inland to Florida to get away for insurance to be reasonable. Whereas with Alabama, we've got the Chase Park deal in Montgomery that's 3 hours north of the coast. And that deal is fantastic with insurance coverage, like in terms of pricing versus what we actually get for it.
Yeah. So yeah, Jason, that's something you're familiar with too. It's coastal
A little bit.
insurance and the rising price. I think it's killing people in Mississippi right now, or it's going to, from what I understand.
It's unsustainable.
It's tough. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've spent a lot of time in the past 6 months talking to insurance brokers. I would say I probably get 10 calls from those guys a day following up. I got to give them credit; they're trying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, guys, did you want to just open up the floor for some questions now and then?
Love it. Sounds like
All
fun.
right.
Hey guys.
Hey, Paul.
No, go
Sorry,
ahead,
Paul.
Oliver. It
Sorry,
was
Paul.
either Oliver or myself.
Sorry.
Okay.
I saw you waving. My bad.
Okay. Thanks. So thanks, guys. That was extremely informative. Very interesting stuff. So thank you for that. I actually have at least two questions. So the first one is as a syndicator. So you're starting out. You're a syndicator. You're going to raise all the equity, and you're going to put in your acquisition fee. So let's say I get my 2% acquisition fee. I put it back in the deal, right? So. And you quickly touched upon this, but so how am I going to be taken seriously by brokers and sellers? And how do I lock up the deal, in that situation? So you're going to ask me the question, okay, are you bringing your own equity? Have you already raised the capital? And at this point, the answer is probably no. I have my investor database. They told me they were interested in one deal, but so how do I project confidence in that situation?
Jason, you want to take that, or you want me to talk to him?
Like I said, I would say, obviously a lot of times people still need to raise the capital. Have a clear and concise plan.
Yeah.
And I would say that if you're submitting an offer, God, it gives me a lot of confidence when I know somebody's already tried to engage lenders, management, insurance. If I know that they're trying to put these pieces in place, I'll just go ahead and share. Like whenever I put a deal together, depending on what market we're in, I might have 20, 30, 40 buyers. And so I have a huge sheet that goes through every one of them, who their lender is, who their management is, what they've been buying, why would they buy this? Why does it make sense for them? And that's one of the reasons why it's so good to communicate with your broker and let them know exactly what your plan is, because Josh can tell you the highest offer doesn't always win.
Right.
It's the one that I have the most confidence that I'm going to get the deal closed with. Because somebody can come in and offer me $10 million over asking and $1 billion earnest money. But if I have zero faith that they're going to close, all I see is a potential relationship killer with my seller. And, maybe that prevents us from doing the next deal and the next deal and the next deal. It's all about seller confidence. So, have a clear and concise plan. And if you're absolutely sure about this property, start engaging these guys right away and make sure your broker knows that.
Yeah, I like what you said, Jason, and I agree with that. Just to kind of buttress it, I think the relationship with a broker is, the relationship I have with people that syndicate is everything. I know, I'm confident in what they say. If they say they're going to do it, they're going to do it. And at some point I took a risk and went with them on a deal, and they were successful. So I would say, man, if you can get a deal and just close it, just if it's a small one or whatever it is to get you going, and that, to me, that brings your confidence and our confidence to another level, where we can really, start working together. And I think other than that, you're talking about, like Jason said, your plan, the diligence, the work that you've put into it, and the confidence of the people, your team around you, having you, and your forethought towards the deal. Your underwriting and what your explanation is on how you're going to make things happen. I think the interview, that to me, all that is important, and it just speaks to your knowledge and your work that you've done, both as a syndicator and on the market and the deal that you're looking at. All of those things, bring confidence to us, and then we can in turn be confident as we walk before the seller of what you're going, the surety of your closing. The relationships that we've started off small and have grown big, and the most successful ones, we could say, and Jason, this may or may not be true of you, and you can answer for yourself, those individuals, whether they're raising the capital or they're partnering with some other folks in it, in a small group. It's really just been the teachable spirit that the buyer has, to be able to listen to us, because we're wanting to communicate to you the things that are going to close the deal. Again, I understand negotiations and not want to play your hand and all that, but trust me, the people that trust us and listen to us and follow us, they're multimillionaires. They've done really well for themselves, and I've got some other success stories, but they're not as successful because they strayed from our wisdom. I'm not saying we're the only wise people in the land about this stuff, but I mean, you find somebody this is their expert. I'm not gonna, if I got a plumbing problem at my house and the toilets are stopped up, I'm not going to call an electrician to come out there and fix that, right? I mean, we're experts in this thing, so it's kind of like what our trade is, and we work really hard at it. So we think we're pretty good at what we do, and be able to provide the advice that you need to be able to close deals and not get yourself in hot water either. Like some of the guys that I've done, they bought too much stuff that I wasn't fast enough for them, cranking deals to them. They ended up going in markets they didn't know anything about and buying stuff they shouldn't have bought. And now they're calling me, oh, I'm in trouble. Can you bail me out of this? I mean, it sounds familiar. Can you bail me out of this deal? And you find a buyer, because I'm, on the north side of Birmingham, and I've made the entire city council mad at me for whatever reason. Not me, but the buyer. And they don't want to work with me. They won't give me a CO on the 64 units that I just renovated. So I've got these units sitting empty. I got a burned building because somebody threw a Molotov cocktail into the window one night, and so I can't get a CO on it. And so they strayed, and they got 3 or 4 deals like that. And they're like, hey, we really realize, the value now of your broker, of what you do as a broker. We see it. And they sometimes the student has to, go out and skin their knee on their own to figure out, I really need to listen to these guys here and not try to go directly to sellers, because we don't have a side hustle,
Yep.
This is it for us, sorry.
Oliver, what was your other question, Oliver?
Yeah. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate it. So my second question was, you always hear like, okay, LoopNet is the graveyard for deals, right? But at the same time, on LoopNet, maybe a deal isn't priced right, but if you negotiate the deal and eventually if you can bring the price down, then you create a deal, right? So can you maybe speak a bit more about just off-market deals? Should you still spend some time on LoopNet? What are your thoughts on off-market and, I guess, listed deals?
That is a great question.
Loaded.
Yeah, a good one, man. I kind of concur with you a little bit on LoopNet. I mean, I think, are there deals on there? Yeah. I mean, I think you just have to develop a relationship with the person that has that deal and find out what the seller's motivation is. I mean, because a lot of times people are just putting stuff out there to see if they can land a big price. So it'll make sense for them to trade. You know what I mean? They're really going to try to find a property or something like that to trade into. They have an alternative motivation. So you kind of have to get behind the closed doors and ask questions, about the deal and find out, is this something where this person is going to come down? Are they motivated? Are they just playing games? Are they just like the girl that's teasing everybody? Maybe that's a bad example, but they want the attention of their property being out there.
Solid
Sorry.
example.
Sorry.
Yeah, and as far as LoopNet goes, I would say it's kind of the same on the buyer side. I do get curious and respond to LoopNet leads simply because every once in a while you'll find a rising star who simply doesn't know they're in the wrong place for these kind of deals. And in another life, I considered myself a musician. I would always like to think I would have been good at A&R, finding new talent. I do look in there for new talent, but most of the time it's a bit of a waste of time. It's something I kind of glance at and try to move on. I would say that God, he said it best. It's a graveyard for deals.
Well, Jason, if you remember Chase Park, I found Chase Park on LoopNet.
That is my exception. That's why I keep saying every once in a while you'll find somebody who maybe they haven't got a portfolio of thousands of units yet, but they've got that X factor. They're going to win deals, and they're going to grow quickly because, like Josh, their ability to form new relationships quickly, form friendships quickly is it's second to none. And so as long as everybody this person is talking to, as long as they're having the same effect that I did, this person's going to be a rising star. And so, yeah, Josh, that was a great example. There are people in there who don't belong in there, and this is temporary. And we try to get them out and put them in the big leagues as fast as we can.
Even with sellers like Anil.
He's not on here, is he?
I was thinking the same thing, Jason. I hope he's not on here.
But yeah, that's one I'm proud of. I'm very proud of the success you guys have had there. And that's one of the reasons when I met you guys, I knew it because you had a clear plan. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention your team members, but that's another thing people need to understand is be part of a great team, be part of a team with like-minded people with the same goals, people that are just as obsessed with this as you are, because it's not going to work out otherwise. But Josh's team, everybody has different skills, different skill sets, but everybody has a winning attitude, and that's why they keep closing deals. With me, without me, they're going to keep closing deals.
Appreciate it, man. Paul, I think you had a question next, right?
Yeah, I had first of all, thanks, Paul and Jason. This is great stuff. Oliver, I had a follow-up question to what Oliver was asking. And Paul, you just kind of, Jason, you just kind of mentioned it. You said, when you find this rising star, you want to get them to the big leagues. What is the big leagues? Is it just to work with a broker or a bunch of brokers? Or is there like a website, they have for people that try to, I'm going to sell my house by myself, and they post stuff on Craigslist? Is there like a place where people try to sell their own commercial real estate or multifamily deals by themselves? In
my experience, it's LoopNet. There's a deal down in the coast right now, and I'll blame myself for this one. I did not set the expectations properly. And, we were talking about the good old days of 8 months ago prices at the time. Things changed pretty quickly, and I got cash offers that were strong, but they didn't take them. They're probably angry about it now because now that property's on LoopNet with all my marketing materials and my BOV. I don't mind that. If it helps them, that's great. But that's a good example. That is a graveyard for a lot of people, but there are rising stars in there. And when I say we take them out and put them in the big leagues, what I mean is, as soon as you get a solid broker relationship, somebody who actually knows their markets, has relationships in those markets, knows all the sellers, it's going to feel like suddenly you're not digging in the sand anymore. You're going to suddenly start getting deals that you'd have never known about because, Paul and I, we spend all day hitting the phones. I come from insurance and car sales. So to me, it's nothing to make 200 phone calls in a day. Paul's same thing. We both come from backgrounds where we had to hustle and we're very service oriented. So it's not just about getting the deal done. It's like, well, what's left when the deal's done? Is there a relationship? If not, what were you doing? Because I always say that if if you give up a relationship for a paycheck, you're a sellout. That's one of the silliest things you can do, because not only is this going to be a good relationship, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot from each other. You're going to get more deals by having friends.
Yeah, we've got an office of people that are calling on properties. We got more stuff that comes through. It's unbelievable. So on the market, off the market, you know, we're calling and finding those deals all the time. So I mean, we're a good resource for you for stuff. But as far as finding stuff that we're sellers, you know, are trying to sell themselves, that is LoopNet is the area that you find that a lot. But most of the time they're getting in the hands of brokers at some point, apartment brokers, and they're sending them out. I mean, it just happens. I know there's arm's length and there's deals that happen off the market without brokers and stuff that happen all the time. I mean, I get that, but I mean, we are definitely we're touching just about everything that's out there right now in the Sun Belt just by sheer willpower and calling people. So we'd love to help you guys for sure. Can continue to help you in it. You know, and I think when you get into like moving away from using a broker, just be careful where you're buying at. I mean, like, you know, some areas you just gotta watch it, you know, and that's kind of the trouble that some of my guys got into last year, just buying stuff because it was cheap and because they thought they could flip it and turn it real quick, and they end up stepping in you know what. That's just gotta be.
Sweet.
Excellent. No, this is great stuff.
Did you have any other questions, Paul?
No, it was answered when Jason said that, you know, they come from a sales background and they make those 100 to 200 calls a day. Because that was one of my questions, is how many calls per month do you make to get hired as a broker for a seller, and how many sellers are actually reaching out to you saying, hey, you know what, I need some help because I've posted this stuff and I'm not getting a lot of traction. So how many calls would you say you're getting from sellers asking to hire you all as the representative for them?
Paul, I don't know what your answer to that. Mine is 0. Usually there's a little bit of humble pie to eat to make that call. And a lot of times they know they don't have to. We'll call them. We will get to you if you own a property.
Rock and roll. Awesome. Well,
Yeah. I mean, I have had you know, of late, probably more people reaching out to me that are interested in selling, you know, than I have probably in my whole career. You know, I do have a lot of ongoing. Mine's my business is a little bit different from Jason's, slightly, and kind of the way I've kind of like at the grassroots with a lot of people I've started, you know, just very humble beginnings and built them up. So they feel there's a loyalty to me. I don't think that's always the case in commercial real estate. Agency is not, you know, like in it's not the same as in residential real estate. So, but it's, you know, I have relationships like that. So I do have a lot of people that call me that are looking to sell, and especially lately. But I try to minimum a day is 20 calls a day. Maybe that sounds wimpy, but it's just a lot of calls, man. You 20 calls a day. If you can do 100 a week, you're going to make some deals.
For sure. Okay.
If you're a good caller.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. If you're actually following up and doing deals, it is tough to make that many calls because we do actually have to eventually follow up and move these things along.
Yes, but especially if people starts answering and you have to like communicate with them, you know, the amount of calls you can do that when you're effective is a lot less. Really, it is.
When
But
people
I
actually
guess I need
answer
to.
the call.
Yeah, I guess I need to rephrase how I said that. As far as how many people are calling me and saying, "Man, I'm in trouble, help me." That is 0. It's usually here, I've got a property, you know, show it to a few of your buyers. Here's an opportunity. Typically we can dig in a few layers and figure out what the, the real situation is. But, you know, if somebody needs help, we'll help them. That's the only way I can say it.
Excellent. Thank you. This is great stuff. Yeah, because some of us are asking each other like, hey, have you made any relationships with brokers yet? It's like, well, I'm trying to make these relationships here, but it sounds like the best thing to do is just start trying to go out there and make these relationships with brokers, bring them some donuts and coffee and try to introduce yourself, huh?
Yeah, I like donuts and coffee.
Yeah, I mean, or
Like
if
donuts and
somebody
coffee.
just calls me and I enjoy talking to them, and it sounds like like I said, they're on their way. We will absolutely make allowances for the fact that they haven't bought property yet. Nobody was born owning property unless they're extremely lucky. But yeah, everybody's got to start somewhere. And like I said, you always see those people that just get it. And so you try to support them as soon as you can, because those are going to be rising stars. And eventually you're going to be very happy you gave them a chance.
Paul, that was a good point though you made about face-to-face meetings with people, man. I know that's kind of been squelched a little bit with COVID and everything, but it's kind of opening up now. You get so much more done when you're in a face-to-face than you can by emailing and texting. And this is good. I mean, I think this is a good format as well, but the face-to-face meetings and actually someone coming to the market and meeting you there and having lunch, stuff like that. That's the way all of my investors that are big have begun. They came and we met together somehow. And we started a friendship, and those guys, man, we give each other Christmas gifts. They've been to my house, when they come down, we go out to eat, not on business. I mean, they're my friends too. So yeah, it's good relationships, and that's the core of it right there.
God, that's such a good point. Yeah, I would say that all my good friends are in commercial real estate now.
That's all we do, Jason. That's all we talk to. So it's
but when I get around a table with my family, I'm usually quiet, just happy for everybody and enjoying all the stories. But all I want to talk about is real estate. So you
have nothing in common with anybody else, because I will do apartment.
Yeah. Awesome. Anyone else? You got any other questions? I got a list of questions if no one has anything. Nobody? Oh man. Silent group.
I got a question. Thanks for the presentation, Paul and Jason. My question is, do listing brokers always have all the financial information need for potential sellers to underwrite a property when they list their property, or is that information just 50-50? Not really. The seller really doesn't have it, and there's like this cat and mouse game back and forth trying to figure out what the rent roll is.
The mom and pop. You're talking about the mom and pop operations, and some of them are big. They got apartments. They may have over 100 units, but they don't have the documentation. Yeah, and really, we don't really believe a deal's a deal. You can sell a deal until you have at least a rent roll, P&L, and the capital expenditures for the last 2 years. I mean, to me, you got to have those things, and that should be enough to underwrite the property. I would think, but yeah, I mean, you're right. There's people that circulate stuff based on stated financials, what the seller said, he's getting in rent and what his finances are, and they're usually full of holes. You know what I mean? The insurance ain't on there, the taxes or whatever is not on there, and maybe they mix the CapEx together with whatever the unit turns or whatever they have. It's all jumbled up, and you've got to go through and figure it out. That's one of the things that we do is if the seller doesn't have, and we've had to, because a lot of them are mom and pop, that we've sold in the past, the small starter deals, 10 to anywhere between 10 and 100 units, and they're, mom and pop, basic documentation. I've seen rent rolls on the back of a garbage can, about garbage bag, I mean,
written in mascara
right now, so whatever. And you have to, we produce that stuff, and this deal I've got going on right now is a $4.5 million deal. It's agency debt deal, smaller deal for agency debt. So we've had to go back and help the seller produce everything for this deal. And that is a challenge, but we do it, I won't say gladly.
Not to answer your
nowadays
question,
you gladly do it. If you can get a deal to close, whatever you got to do, if I have to, make the whole finance, whatever I got to do to put it together, I'm going to make it happen. Yeah. And so that's what we do.
Yeah, but he's absolutely right. You should see some of the documents we get from people. Sometimes they give us what they have, the absolute best they have, and we back into them. And some of this is we have knowledge of what it costs to run a property in this market. We know what it costs to manage it. We know what it should cost per unit. what the expenses are. So we can usually back into these things if they can give us enough. But as far as on your end, if the broker has a deal, he should have put some effort into that, so you don't have to be so creative. If we're looking to get a deal done, we can shorten some of this for you, and that's one of the things we can do is, if we don't have solid documents, we can back into it. But if your broker doesn't have docs, he might not have a relationship with the seller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he may be skipping a bunch of steps in the process. I mean,
Yeah, he might be overzealous. Yeah,
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you for the
Awesome.
question.
Well, I got a list of questions here to fire at you. It's like the fire round. First question, Jason, you mentioned initially that, and it was funny, we were actually having a conversation about this a week or two ago where we were talking about the 3 offers, 1 offer, submitting those things. But when it comes to offers, at least in today's market, what types of offers, what types of creative strategies? I mean, seller financing we talked initially about, but what are you seeing actually working for closing deals, and how should people submit their offer? You don't want the very first offer to be like, I want $0 down, all 100% owner finance, no EMD. Like, how do you approach that conversation while still appearing professional, even if that really is the way that the deal ends up panning out?
That's
That's
really
loaded
good
as well.
question, Josh. Great question. I mean, I don't think you should ever put your very best offer first forward. I think that's a bad move. And I ask, I mean, is this all you got? Is there any powder left? and leave some for a counter offer, because if you don't leave some left there, some room left, then you are going to probably not get it. You have to have that psychological win. The seller feels like he's getting what he wants, or closer to what he wants, by giving him, by raising your offer at least one time, and if you can do it in increments, and I think that's the way to do it. And, if there's 2 or 3 or 4 increments of raises that there's room for, I think that's probably the best way to slowly raise your offer up to your final, best and final kind of deal, and be present. That way the seller feels like, man, this broker has really worked his butt off. Yeah, he's got this guy up. And I tell you what, sometimes I've done this. I mean, the guy said, well, I'm just going to offer this right here. Hey, offer what so we're transaction brokers. We're just representing both, trying to make the deal, being fair to both sides. And I'm like, so you might want to just bring that back a little bit, and let's make the seller not feel like he's leaving money on the table by your first offer. Because think about it, if you're in that situation, it's your property that you're selling, and the first offer you get is full price. Bam. What do you think? Well, I guess we need to go take this, raise the price back up, and go back to the market.
Right. I guess the question within the question is like, what defines a strategically low offer where you have the ability to climb there and do some back and forth, versus an offer so low it's just simply like unapologetically unprofessional, and you just like, this goes to the bottom of the deck?
Right.
Yeah, I definitely see a lot more people trying the Ackerman model right now, where they try to come in at 65%, have a second offer, and then the last offer is an oddly specific number,
and some kind of incentive also.
per door,
Yeah. You also, the last offer needs to be uneven, and there needs to be, lower your due diligence time, or bring up your earnest money, or whatever it is, some non-material kind of deal. I'm sorry, Jason, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no. I appreciate that. Another thing that you can do, certainly, even that really makes you stand out even over price, is like he was saying, your terms. If you're willing to make even a small portion go hard after 2 weeks, gives you enough time to get out there, get your people in the property, figure out what's going on. But it's one of those things to kind of make you stand out over other people. If you're willing to put something hard after 2 weeks, obviously you still have time
that's
to
right. Put some hustle into your due diligence, make it shorter. Get out there.
But
It's, everybody's not as busy as they were when the market was, white hot right now. You can get inspectors out, you can get people out there to do it. You can do, you can do agency debt in 45 days. Like, it's just, everybody's not as busy as they were before.
Is that what you guys are saying? You guys are seeing due diligence timeframes get smaller, EMD go harder sooner?
yes,
I'm asking because, the pricing is kind of, it is what it is. A lot of times you're at a stalemate. So, working the terms is the other side of the coin that we try to work on. Get your due. Look, we're going to get the inspector out there as quickly as possible. We'll have them out there. We're going to have you all the due diligence stuff, or the due diligence period doesn't start until you have everything that your lender needs to make a decision. So you're running your financing and your due diligence inspection of the property together. Basically getting together, get all that stuff done. And there's a point in time, doing it as quickly as you possibly can to give it a decision to the seller, just make a decision. That's what he wants. You're going to buy or not.
but yeah, the enthusiasm is everything. I absolutely share with my sellers, like, this guy calls me every other day about this. This guy hits me up for updated documents every couple days. Like, people think that drives a broker crazy. It does not. Me personally, it lets me know who my real buyers are. It lets me know who's trying to win this thing. So yeah, I mean, I would say drive your broker crazy. Call him every time you've got a question. Call him every time you need something. He will remember that you're trying to win this thing.
One of the things I try to do, Josh, to try, so it's not something so offensive and in writing and it's got your name on it and all that other stuff. I like to verbalize. If you have something really low or lower than what I think, is going to be acceptable, I will verbalize it to the seller just to get his response and reaction, and just to see if there's room or where this still. In fact, that's a really good way of finding out if you got a deal or not. You just come to the seller with a verbal, I think it's this guy's coming in somewhere in this range. And that's another way to do it. The range, it's from here to here right now. This is kind of where we are. And just put it out there and see what he responds and listen to what he has to say. And what they have to say usually gives you a tremendous amount of information towards closing the deal.
Yeah.
I've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. I try to listen twice as much as I speak. Except on this podcast right now.
Yeah. And the guy that is offering this, if I think he is legit and is really going to try to win this thing, and it's just kind of coming in to see where things are, I may not be in a big hurry to share with the seller who specifically that came from. Because on a deal that I did recently, had he known that, he would have said, I don't want to see a second offer. And the guy ended up winning the deal. So
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All
so
right,
like
next.
I said, it's one of those things we do to stress test them, just to kind of find out, what are our parameters here? Like Paul said, do we have a deal?
In the car business, we call it a preliminary close. When you're making the round
Trial
on the
close,
test drive, and they say, well, I'm at $250 a month payment on this thing. You think you can get it in? And I find out they really love the vehicle, and they pull up in the parking lot and they put it. I say, park it right over here. This is where the sold cars are parked. And I say, hey, I know you're at 250, but you probably, if I can get this payment right around 375, 400, you'd do that too, wouldn't you? Yeah, well, maybe. And you find exactly how much bump you got. And that's kind of what we do with the sellers. We just throw it out there. Hey, this is what we're seeing. What do you think? And then that tells us, you kind of try to find the bottom like that of where the threshold is. That's the only way I know how to do it, by asking.
Yep. Excellent. All right. Here's the question everyone's probably wanting the answer to. How do we get access to you guys' unicorn pocket listings? How do we become the people that you call when you find the awesome deals?
Josh, I guess you would tell them how you do that.
Yeah, there you go, Josh.
Like I said, I mean, when I first met, Josh, obviously, but anybody like that, if they come to me with a clear, concise plan and I can figure out how to help them, that's a big thing. I don't really know any other way to say that than if I feel like they're realistic, they've got a team together and they're making all the right moves, they're engaging all the right people, because everybody starts from 0 deals at some point.
Yeah, close deals, close a deal, and then just close deals. And dude, we don't care. We're not, this friendships are friendships, relationships are relationships, but ultimately this is business. If you close deals and you're good to work with, hey, I'll be honest with you. I've got buyers that I don't like working with, but I work with them anyway because I know they close deals. I mean, they may take, and Jason knows exactly the few people I'm talking about right now, and they may call me MF through the deal and tell me I'm
Make sure he's not on.
okay, you never know. But and guess what? I take it, I just take it and I say, hey, because you know what? I know he's got $41 million on a phone call, and John Elway is on his board. So I mean, and the dude ultimately he may fuss and fight and call me names and scream and holler and do backflips, but he still closed the deal, and he didn't retrade too much either. So even though he didn't like it, he closed it. He threatened to sue everybody, and nobody likes him anymore but me, because guess what?
Well, you should have gone to Vegas. He hunted us down and bought us dinner. So
He's a good guy.
Thank you for your work.
Yeah.
Wow, what a buyer there. Okay, I guess my next question is, how specific, you guys mentioned this briefly, just specificity when it comes to buy box criteria, what it is you're actually trying to target.
Yeah.
How specific does someone's, buy box actually need to be in order for you to feel confident, one, in their ability to close, but two, in even being interested enough in sending them deals in the first place? Because you guys are mentioning, if someone says, hey, I'm just looking for A, B, and C class multifamily in the Southeast. Okay, yeah, sure. You and 1,000 other people. But if someone gets really granular with you, like, what does that granularity look like for you to be like, I feel a little bit more confident that they're actually going to close?
I guess one of the things is like, does it make sense? Why would they do this? Why would they be interested in this area? Do they have scale down there? Is it somewhere they're from that they understand? I guess for me, it has to make sense for some reason.
And you're saying,
I don't know if that's a good answer, but that's my answer.
You're saying how specific do people, Josh, need to be about their
market,
target?
Asset class, like purchase price, like what all needs to be in there, target price. Like I can only close a deal up to 25 million, or does that not matter? Or
I like to know as much as I can know about the buyer and what they're looking for and what their thresholds are. And I mean, I think the more specific, the better. But then again, on the other hand, I mean, think about it. You've got deals that are kind of turnkey, sorta. I think everything's value add. I mean, just to a certain point. I mean, maybe there's properties that they're just maxed out or whatever, and they can't be ran any thinner, and the rents are maxed out or whatever. But for the most part, you've got stuff that is either value add, that is light, that C plus stuff that you can build up, and then you got the heavier stuff on down the line. What I'm saying, most people's kind of buy, they're looking for C, really what they're looking for, C property that they can make into a B or something like that. They can at least there's some meat left on the bone. There's bigger companies that are looking for, just turnkey stuff that they can buy. But most of the buyers are looking for something that they can just make money on at some point in this deal. I like the specifics about it, but I also, if you find a deal, maybe your buy, could change a little bit if you see something that you like. And I think over the life of someone's business, I think their model does change. I think most of the people I've worked with started off with, let's get the value add, the heavier value add stuff, and let's buy that and turn it and make a profit on it. And now they've moved into more lighter value add, B class stuff, nothing that's crazy major that the property needs to go through. You know, we kind of done that, been there and done that. We want to move on to something else. We're getting older or whatever, you know. But I like being specific about what you're looking for. It helps me to find it.
Yeah, and Marcus, I hope you don't mind me using one of your messages as an example, but just as we've been on this conference, I had one gentleman say, add me to your Birmingham and Atlanta metro listings. He's looking for value add BNC properties, under market, off market, preferred, open to seller financing, 150 and up. That gives me a lot to work with, but he also didn't say I'm not looking at 70s and earlier. He didn't give me reasons not to call him about things that fit in this criteria. And I would definitely say, I would get that specific and then let your broker know where you kind of have room to wiggle a little bit. Maybe it's on the year built. You know, sorry, Marcus, but that was perfect. Thank you.
I think he actually dipped out.
Ah,
So he might be listening to the recording and realize you outed him.
well, he did a good job. That was that gave me a lot to work with. He's not asking me for the entire Southeast. He's asking me for Birmingham and Atlanta metro. Yeah, that's something I can look at with a simple CoStar search.
Do you guys do Atlanta? I thought you guys just did the further like
We've
coastal areas.
done around it. I don't personally focus on Atlanta. We've done some North Georgia stuff. I think Andy's probably done a few Atlanta deals.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, not really. We haven't really hammered Atlanta a lot, but the north stuff that's north of Atlanta, we really do a lot more business in that area for sure. Than right there around the Atlanta metro area.
Where are you guys finding more deals right now? Like in the markets that you guys cover anyway, what are the markets that you're seeing more movement in?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing a lot of just of properties come through, Josh. There's a difference in with me and somebody that you know wants to see how much attention they could get, or if they can get, you know, the golden unicorn to come up and purchase their property way over market price with all cash and no financing,
2 cap
or whatever, you know, the stupid stuff that they're looking for. There's a lot of that out there right now still. People just they wouldn't even consider selling at the top of the market, but now there's that loss aversion, which is a powerful force in sales, where I don't want to lose no more, you know, and I want to get the previous market price at the property. So there's a lot of that right now that's happening. And what we're trying to do, Josh, is really cut through all of that and using some of the things we're talking about as far as finding out information, asking questions about what their actual motivation is, and getting down to the core of, are you flirting around here? Are you looking for a property to exchange before you actually decide you want to sell? Is that why you have this inflated price on it? Or do you actually want to sell the property and here's what it's worth? We have to kind of get past some of that stuff and get down to the brass tacks. And that just requires your help and our diligence on staying after those sellers and getting answers. So not a lot of deals, Josh, that I'm seeing out there that's got tremendous amount of meat on the bone that works right now in the debt market. And I'm not trying to be the preacher of gloom and doom. I think things are going to get better, but right now it's been a challenge to find stuff that works.
Didn't you say you guys just transacted a deal that was like 100% owner financing or something like that?
I've done a couple of things like that. It was owner financing, smaller deals of 50, 60 doors. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I know. It was a good deal. And it, you know, I gave it to one of those guys that's been there with me, you know, and closed the crappy deals, man. He closed the junk. So when we found the filet mignon, I had to offer it up to him at least. He had owned some stuff right there around the area. So I'm somewhat loyal. But if somebody would have come up and beat his offer, in the little time we had to market, it was off the market, I would have stiff armed him and went on to the next person. I mean, to just be real. As long as it looks like they're going to close. So I don't have, I mean, there's some loyalty there, but I'm looking for new buyers to work with too, because I know, there's limitations at working with the same people over and over again. We want new folks, for sure.
So how much sway would you guys say you have in the decision making of which buyer to go with when you've got a deal listed? Because you're the one that gets all the LOIs and all the offers in the first place, and then you're selling, in essence, the seller on who you think they should go with. Has the seller ever been like, absolutely not, you're an idiot, I'm going with this offer, and just bypassed everything that you said? Or do they almost always are like, all right, yeah, you're probably right, we want to go with someone that can close, and they just follow your guidance?
I in my experience, we have a lot of influence. And like I said, that's why I make those deal sheets. I like to show them kind of what my feedback has been, and what my opinion is. All said and done, who are your winners? And I usually will highlight them and kind of put them to the front. I know it sounds silly, but it's the only way for the seller to really understand what the market said. And I feel like that's my responsibility. Ultimately, I'm going to push them in the direction that I think is going to get them the result that they intended from the beginning. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I agree with you, Jason. I think we do have, I think every deal is a little different as far as the influence we have on the seller. I think there's some of them where, there's marginal amount of influence, and they're just stubborn. Some of the people I work with, they're going to do what they want to do, regardless of what you say. It doesn't matter. Or that's kind of the attitude that they present. There's people like that we work with. But then there's people that listen to us. But the bottom line is, I mean, we really seek for the person that is going to be the most likely to close. I mean, honestly, we do not care. I mean, we care about things and about who gets the deal, but only because it's the horse that we believe is going to be the most likely to bring us to the finish line. And that's the only thing that we have in mind. We have friends and stuff. Now there's people that I've worked with that and care for and talk to, once or twice a week, that don't get deals, that are good for them. I mean, they send me Christmas presents every year, big old thick steaks and stuff. It's good stuff at Christmas time. And so, I mean, they're good folks, and they don't get the deals. I mean, because they just got outbid, and there's somebody else that's more motivated to close than they are. So yeah, we do have influence, but we try to use it, I mean, wisely, in a way that will be beneficial to everybody. Because let's just face it, if the deal doesn't close, nobody's going to be happy. So that's what we're trying to do.
All right. Well, I've been hogging the mic. Does anyone else have any last parting questions before we peace out here?
Hey, I just wanted to know if we can have your contact information.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh,
slap it in
I'm
the
not
chat
the
box.
Smartest guy. Okay,
Hit the
I can
little
just put
chat
it into
button.
everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone, got it. Yeah, Paul, if you don't mind, do this as well.
Yeah.
All right, fellas.
My bad.
Y'all gonna
Put it
y'all
out
gonna
there.
have to start sending me all the deals you guys got. 10,000 units. I mean, shoot.
Like I said, the challenge there is finding deals that make sense. There's a whole lot of people that they're still chasing those prices of the good old days of 8 months ago. There's been a bit of a recalibration for sure.
Yeah, I agree. We're in a kind of a process in between, but I think things are going to start cranking again. And listen, let's be real. Is there a better place to put your money right now than real estate? I mean,
No.
where else are you going to put it? There's nowhere.
Bonds,
Even
bro.
if the deal didn't cash flow like you want to initially, I mean, you're still getting the depreciation, you're still getting the tax shelter, you're still getting the appreciation. I mean, the properties appreciate and depreciate at the same time. I don't know how that works, but that's beneficial to you. That's why all wealthy people own real estate. I mean, the smart ones do anyway, because I mean, it's the ancient method of keeping your money safe.
Smart.
The best asset class by far, and people are sitting on more cash now than ever before.
Multifamily or gold, silver, you pick. More upside in the multifamily. You can't do much with the gold. You can't control much about that. Polish it up. I don't know. That's about as far as it goes.
All right.
Prices go up.
All right, guys, I appreciate it. I appreciate y'all coming out and spending some time with us. I feel like I learned a little bit more today. Plus, we just had a good time. Who doesn't like having a good time?
It's fine.
So,
Guys, thank you for having us. I appreciate everybody listening to us.
Hey, thank you
Yeah,
guys.
it's fun.
Thanks so much. Lots of great
Absolutely.
information.
Yeah, great
Looking forward
stuff.
to
Thank you.
Working with all y'all. Let's close some deals.
Well, guys, you've got all of our contact information on there. If there's a way we can help you, please reach out. It'd be our pleasure.
Let's do it.
oh, we'll definitely be in touch,
y'all.
fellas.
All right, thank
Cool.
you, guys.
Thank
Thank
y'all.
Good night.
Later, everybody.